April 1945. Berlin, once a symbol of Nazi power, was now a city under siege, pounded relentlessly by Allied bombs. Amidst the chaos and destruction, deep beneath the Chancellery Garden, Adolf Hitler faced his own demise. His world was shrinking, confined to the concrete walls of the Führerbunker. His body, ravaged by disease, betrayed the once imposing figure. His mind, once sharp and calculating, now flickered between delusions of victory and the encroaching darkness of defeat. The man who had plunged the world into war was now a prisoner of his own making. The sounds of crumbling mortar and shattering glass were a constant reminder of the approaching enemy. Gone were the cheering crowds, the military parades, the intoxicating aura of invincibility. In their place stood the specter of defeat, a bitter truth Hitler refused to accept. Reports from the front painted a grim picture. The once mighty Wehrmacht was in tatters, outmatched and outmaneuvered on all sides. The end was near. The Führerbunker, designed by Hitler's architect Albert Speer, was a testament to paranoia and despair. Located over 26 feet underground, this subterranean labyrinth was a far cry from the opulent palaces and grand residences Hitler had envisioned for his 1,000-year Reich. The air was thick with the stench of diesel fuel, sweat, and fear. The constant hum of the ventilation system provided a dissonant soundtrack to the unfolding drama. The bunker was a warren of narrow corridors and cramped rooms, each one a testament to the shrinking world of the Nazi elite. Here, amidst the flickering gaslight and the ever-present dampness, Hitler presided over the last vestiges of his regime. His personal quarters, though relatively spacious, offered little comfort. The Führerbunker had become a concrete tomb, a grim symbol of the Nazi regime's impending collapse. The once imposing figure who had captivated a nation was now a shadow of his former self. Years of stress, paranoia, and a rumored dependence on methamphetamine had taken a devastating toll on Hitler's physical and mental health. His face, once youthful and defiant, was now gaunt and heavily lined, his eyes betraying a haunted, almost manic energy. He moved with a pronounced tremor, his left arm often held stiffly at his side, betraying the advance of Parkinson's disease. His uniform, once meticulously kept, now hung loosely on his emaciated frame. His voice, once booming and powerful, was now reduced to a raspy whisper, punctuated by fits of coughing. His personal physician, Dr. Theodor Morell, administered a daily cocktail of vitamins, glucose, and experimental medications in a desperate attempt to alleviate the symptoms of Hitler's various ailments. The once charismatic leader, who had inspired millions with his fiery rhetoric, was now a broken, isolated figure, clinging to the remnants of his power, as the world he had created crumbled around him. The man who had sought to conquer death itself was now being consumed by it. Amidst the chaos and despair of the Führerbunker, Eva Braun, Hitler's longtime mistress, remained a steadfast presence. Her decision to join him in his subterranean sanctuary, to face their shared fate together, spoke volumes of her unwavering loyalty and devotion. Her presence, however, was a complex one, a mixture of love, fear, and a desperate attempt to cling to normalcy in a world spiraling towards oblivion. Eva's letters, smuggled out of the bunker by those still permitted to leave, offer a rare glimpse into her state of mind during these final days. They are a poignant mix of mundane observations, expressions of affection for Hitler, and a palpable sense of dread. She writes of her longing for the outside world, for the simple pleasures she once took for granted: sunshine, fresh air, the company of friends. Yet she remains resolute in her decision to stay by Hitler's side, her love for him seemingly undeterred by the encroaching darkness. Eva Braun became a symbol of the human cost of Hitler's ambitions. The fall of Berlin. Above ground, the once proud city of Berlin was being systematically pulverized. The relentless bombardment by Allied bombers had transformed the German capital into a smoldering ruin, a testament to the horrors of total war. Buildings lay in rubble, streets were impassable, and the air was thick with smoke, dust, and the stench of death. The Red Army, having fought its way across Eastern Europe, had finally reached the outskirts of the city. Their advance was relentless, fueled by a thirst for vengeance and a determination to crush the Nazi regime once and for all. The German defenses, manned by a hodgepodge of Wehrmacht regulars, Volkssturm militia, and Hitler Youth conscripts, were no match for the overwhelming Soviet firepower. Street by street, block by block, the Red Army fought its way into the heart of Berlin. The fighting was brutal and unforgiving, a desperate struggle for survival amidst the ruins. Civilians, trapped in the crossfire, huddled in cellars and bomb shelters, their hopes dwindling with each passing hour. The fall of Berlin was not just a military defeat, it was the symbolic collapse of Hitler's thousand-year Reich. Göring's treacherous gambit. As the situation in Berlin grew ever more desperate, cracks began to appear in the facade of unity that had once characterized Hitler's inner circle. Hermann Göring, Hitler's designated successor and the head of the Luftwaffe, was among the first to break ranks. With the Führer bunkered down in Berlin, seemingly detached from reality, Göring saw an opportunity to seize power. He sent a telegram to Hitler, requesting permission to assume leadership of the Reich, citing Hitler's isolation and the desperate situation facing Germany. The telegram, however, had the opposite effect of what Göring had intended. Hitler, already deeply suspicious of those around him, saw Göring's request as an act of betrayal, a cowardly attempt to usurp his authority in Germany's darkest hour. Göring's attempt to seize power, though ultimately unsuccessful, further deepened the atmosphere of paranoia and suspicion within the bunker. The walls were closing in, both literally and figuratively, and there was nowhere left to run. As the Red Army closed in on the Chancellery, Hitler made the decision to end his life rather than face capture and humiliation at the hands of his enemies. On April 29, 1945, amidst the chaos and destruction of the besieged city, Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun were married in a brief ceremony held in the Führerbunker. The following day, April 30th, Hitler and Braun retreated to their private quarters, determined to escape the fate that awaited them. Hitler penned a final testament, a rambling document filled with self-justification and accusations against his enemies. With his final words committed to paper, Hitler retreated to his study, accompanied by Eva Braun. He bid farewell to his remaining staff, shaking hands and offering words of thanks for their service. Moments later, a single gunshot echoed through the corridor. Hitler had shot himself, taking his own life rather than face the consequences of his actions. The deaths of Hitler and Braun marked the end of an era, the final chapter in the horrific saga of Nazi Germany. Following Hitler's explicit instructions, his body, along with that of Eva Braun, was carried outside into the Chancellery garden. There, amidst the rubble and craters left by Allied bombs, the bodies were doused with gasoline and set ablaze. The flames, fueled by the remnants of a shattered regime, consumed the remains of the Führer and his consort, reducing them to ashes. The hasty cremation, carried out as Soviet shells rained down on the Chancellery, was a desperate attempt to erase the past, to deny Hitler's enemies the satisfaction of capturing his body. The cremation, however, was far from complete. When Soviet troops reached the Chancellery garden a short time later, they discovered the charred remains of Hitler and Braun, their features still vaguely recognizable. The discovery of the bodies, though gruesome, provided tangible proof of Hitler's death, putting an end to rumors that he had somehow escaped or survived. The legacy of his crimes, the horrors he unleashed upon the world, would continue to haunt humanity long after the flames had died down. Months after the fall of Berlin, as the city slowly began to emerge from the ashes, French Commandant R.M. Rose descended into the depths of the Führerbunker. Tasked with securing and documenting the site, Rose stumbled upon a treasure trove of historical artifacts, documents, diaries, and personal effects that had belonged to Hitler and his inner circle. Among the items recovered were Hitler's handwritten notes, scribbled on official stationery, providing a glimpse into his state of mind during those final days. The notes, often rambling and incoherent, revealed a mind consumed by paranoia, delusions of grandeur, and a profound disconnect from reality. Rose's discovery, along with documents unearthed by a private collector decades later, offered historians invaluable insights into the final days of the Third Reich. They painted a picture of a regime in chaos, riven by internal strife and paralyzed by its leaders' delusional belief in ultimate victory. The documents recovered from the bunker, along with the eyewitness accounts of those who were present, continue to provide a valuable window into one of the darkest chapters in human history. They serve as a stark warning, a reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat posed by extremism and authoritarianism.